The Clarity Act did not become law yet, but it just cleared one of the biggest checkpoints in Washington. And if you're in crypto, this matters because markets do not just move on hype. They move when uncertainty starts getting removed. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Mario, and in this channel, I talk about crypto, I talk about AI, I talk about how you can change your life by leveraging technology. So today we're going to be covering one of the biggest news that we witnessed in the crypto space this week, which was the Clarity Act finally getting passed in the Senate Banking Committee. Let's take a look at some stuff here. So today, Chairman, and this is from the U.S. Banking Committee, GOP, today, Chairman Senator Tim Scott led Banking Committee Republicans and Democrats in a historic bipartisan markup to advance the Clarity Act, legislation that will establish clear rules of the road for digital assets. It was a landmark event that day as we finally made an advance in the Clarity Act that we've been anticipating for a while. Let me just read this tweet here from Blockchain Association. The following statement is attributed to the Blockchain Association CEO, Summer Mersinger, after today's bipartisan committee vote on the Clarity Act. And it states, today's bipartisan Senate Banking Committee passage of the Clarity Act is a defining moment for American leadership in the future of finance. Durable, lasting digital asset policy must be built on a bipartisan foundation, and today's vote reflects the growing recognition across party lines that the United States needs clear rules of the road. For too long, regulatory uncertainty has sent talent, investment, and innovation overseas, strengthening foreign competitors while leaving American builders without the certainty they need to compete. The Clarity Act is an opportunity to reverse that trend, reshore the next generation of financial technology jobs, and ensure digital asset markets are built here in the United States under American values, consumer protection, open markets, individual freedom, and rule of law. I love that. I'm not going to finish reading the rest of the statement because you get the gist here, but definitely a landmark event that we've had. We need clear rules of the road. If there is one thing we've been talking about for years now, is how pushing this technology away from the United States is it's only doing this justice to the opportunity that lies within it. We knew since the beginning that everywhere else in the world, this was getting adoption. There were regulations being put in place in many jurisdictions around the world, but the United States. 2022, 2023 were very dark years for crypto. For any of you that were here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those of you that were here and that are here today and that continued investing, you saw beyond those smoking mirrors. You knew that eventually we were going to get the clear rules of the road and that crypto was not what they were painting crypto to be. It was not illegal currency. It was not only used for nefarious activity and by criminals. It's a technology that is revolutionizing everything that we do. And just like any technology that comes to revolutionize or disrupt, there is going to be pushback. And the pushback comes from the traditional systems. So what we saw was the traditional finance and traditional banking systems pushing back on this technology. They did not want a replacement of what they do. They do not want this technology to come in and say, okay, we're no longer going to be using banks. We're just going to be using crypto. We're going to transact amongst each other with this peer-to-peer technology. We're taking away their bread and butter. We're taking away the way they make money and the way they stay up top. So what did they do? They got to work and they put together a way for them to basically capitalize on it. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing the banks and institutions coming in and saying, cool, we're going to adopt this technology, but in a way where we can still benefit from it. So I think that that's my biggest takeaway here. Listen, the Senate Banking Committee advanced the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act in a bipartisan 15-9 vote. Okay, this does not mean it's passed. This means that the Banking Committee has passed it and it now needs to go to the full Senate. So let's take a look first here at the moment that the vote took place and that the bill got passed to go to the Senate.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
The clerk will call the roll.
Chairman.
Aye.
Mr. Crapo.
Aye.
Mr. Rounds.
Aye.
Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
No.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
No.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
No by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
No.
Mr. Geigo? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 15 in favor and 9 opposed.
The ayes have it. H.R. 3633 is hereby ordered reported as amended to the full Senate. I ask unanimous consent that the staff be allowed to make technical and conforming changes and that the cordon rule be waived. Any objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered. Is there any member who would like to give a statement?
Mr. Chairman?
That was the historical moment when on May 14th we saw the 15-9 vote. What was interesting was that 2 Democrats actually joined the Republicans on this vote, meaning that they voted yes. This matters a lot because the Senate needs this bipartisan support. So now what happens is the bill is going to move towards the full Senate process. So this does not mean we have the bill. That's it. We have the Clarity Act in place. No, this means that it now needs to go to the full Senate. A lot can still happen. There's still a lot at stake. There's no guarantees that we're going to get this bill. So we need to wait and see. But now let's talk about the timeline. Let's talk about the timeline of what we could potentially see in the upcoming months. Okay, so it's going to go for as I just mentioned, it's going to go to the full Senate for consideration. Okay, so they're going to do their procedural hurdle. They're going to do the voting, and I think that typically there's about 60 votes, and they're going to take a vote to see if the bill gets passed. If the bill gets passed, okay, then it goes for final approval to the president. Once the president signs it, then we have the Clarity Act as law, and in my opinion, that is going to set forth in motion what could potentially be a change for this industry. And now I know a lot of you think that once we get the Clarity Act, then we're off to the races. Crypto is going to explode. I'm going to give you my opinion at the end of this video, so definitely stay so you can check that out. In the meantime, if you're new here, I really appreciate you watching this far. And if you're liking the content, smash that like button, hit the subscribe and notification bell so you can be notified of when I make new content. And I really appreciate you guys following along for my journey here in crypto and AI. But now back to the content that we're talking about. So we still need to wait the next few months to see what's going to play out. I think the timeline kind of puts us in June, July, so we don't have that long to go, guys. We've been waiting for a long time to get regulation within crypto, and we are finally getting there. I do want to showcase just one more video here from, we have Senator Dave McCormick, where he shared his opinion after the event took place. Let's take a listen.
Just came out of the banking committee where we voted out the Clarity Act, which is fantastic. It's going to be huge for the crypto industry, huge for making sure that innovation happens here at home, and huge for consumer protection. It was voted out of committee bipartisan with a vote of 15-9. And I had a particular amendment that was focused on consumer protection and ensuring that the users of crypto would be appropriately protected. And that was also voted out of the committee and part of the final bill with a bipartisan vote. So a good step forward. Looking forward to getting this on the floor of the Senate and getting this made into law and on the president's desk.
Awesome right there. All right. Now let's talk about this short-term impact on crypto. Okay, let's say that we get the Clarity Act, it gets voted, passes through, and signed by the president. Let's talk about short-term impact on crypto. Okay, what do I believe will happen short-term for crypto? Okay, first of all, the sentiment's going to be massive. I think that the fact that we just got crypto clarity as a law in the United States is going to change the sentiment dramatically. A lot of the people, retail and institutions, that have been sitting on the sidelines because they simply did not feel comfortable investing in a technology where a majority of the government was calling it nefarious and illegal, those people are going to turn to the other side. They're going to cross to the side of, okay, maybe I want to invest in this. Okay, maybe I want to leverage this technology. So that alone, I think, is going to be massive. It's going to take that uncertainty and question out of the space. And so that alone is going to be massive. From an institutional perspective, we know that there's a lot of institutions that have decided to participate in space over the last couple of years, despite the fact that we don't necessarily have clear rules of the road. They're taking a chance. They're taking a shot. They're being those first movers in the space to try and get ahead. And as much as that's awesome, they're taking a massive risk at the cost of potentially being sued, at the cost of potentially doing something that they think is right, but in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the SEC, CFTC, so on and so forth, the enforcement, in the eyes of them being incorrect. And so once we get the Clarity Act, that's no longer going to be the case. Think about all these massive institutions that have billions, trillions of dollars. They have lawyers, they have advisors on their boards, on their payroll, that can literally turn around to them and say, you should not participate in this space right now. It's too dangerous. It's the Wild West. We don't really know how you should even go about it. It's awesome that you have this idea that's going to revolutionize X, Y, and Z, but we don't even know how you can start. We don't even know how it's going to, how we could even advise you on getting started with this. But once we have the Clarity Act, now they can look at it and they can say, awesome, we know exactly how you can get this started. So from an institutional participation perspective, it's going to be massive. We know that we've got a lot of things along the lines of tokenization. We've got a lot along the lines of, leveraging the technology for cross-border payments, so on and so forth. We saw last week that MasterCard, JP Morgan, Ondo, and Ripple completed a really massive test. And so those type of things need the clear rules of the road. They need that clear framework in order for in order for crypto to basically get to the next level. And I think that that's what we're going to get eventually. But short term, just expect to see more institutional participation. Then the altcoins, right? We have finally structure that defines what is a security, what is not a security. All of that gloom and gloom that Gary Gensler set in motion. Well, before Gary Gensler, we had, I forget his name now, the gentleman that was at the SEC that sued Ripple essentially on his last couple of days. I'm sure the name will come to me in just a moment. But Gary Gensler definitely carried that mentality and did not provide any clarity. So that's all going to be going away, which is amazing. And then obviously, talking about XRP, which is a levered project here for me, this is going to be massive because it's just going to allow Ripple to potentially be a bit more aggressive with how they're positioning their products, because now they can look at the Clarity Act and they know exactly, and they don't have to guess. They're definitely one of the best examples of a company that's been trying to innovate by trying to do the right things and unfortunately being met with all of this friction from the US government. So my opinion, markets are not going to soar in the short term. I do not think markets are going to soar, okay? I know that we all expect Clarity Act to come in and now we're off to the races. I do not think that's going to be the case. For me, it might even be a sell the news event, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. As you saw, markets moved up leading up to this vote that we just had this week. And now what are we seeing? A little bit of a cool off. I think we'll potentially see a similar thing leading up to whenever the vote's taking place, and then maybe a sell the rumor type of event. It is a great opportunity though. That's the thing. We're about to get the clarity that we've been asking for years, okay? This is a good thing for crypto, and price action will reflect it eventually, okay? It might not be right away. It might not be the coming month, the coming months this year, but the fact that the institutions, the participation level from institutions will be increasing, that is going to give us what we want, which is price appreciation. So I get it. We all want to make a lot of money out of crypto, but we have to do one thing, which is be patient, because the moment we've been waiting for is about to happen. And in my opinion, we will flip from speculation, beta testing transactions like we just saw, as I mentioned last week with MasterCard, Ripple, Ondo, and JP Morgan. It'll go from testing, speculation to finally getting utility. And utility is going to bring in a lot more capital, and that capital then is going to give us the price action that we speculate. So that's my big takeaway. Massive week for crypto. I think the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, the next couple of years are definitely going to be very exciting. I think we're all still early. If you've been in crypto for the last few years, awesome. If you're just getting started in crypto, then awesome as well. Welcome to the space. I think you are still early, and have a long-term mentality. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. I am simply talking about how I go about investing, what I do, and I have a long-term mentality with all of these cryptos that I'm investing in, because I believe this is a technology that is here to stay and that will be revolutionizing. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Again, if you're new here, my name is Mario, and in this channel, I talk about crypto, I talk about AI, and I talk about how I use it to change my life financially, to create more freedom. I appreciate you being here with me. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.